right, hey guys. My name is Brad, and I work at a clinical trial site. If you don't know what a clinical trial site is, it's this sort of mystical, magical place where patients are seen and assessed for eligibility in clinical trials. So oftentimes we are identifying patients, educating them about opportunities for clinical trials, obtaining medical histories, we draw blood, we perform physical exams, give imaging, do all that fun stuff, and all of the brilliant technology that a lot of you in the audience are responsible for comes together to create a seamless and delightful experience for both patients and sites alike. Okay? Ideally, anyways. So look, everybody in the audience, you guys are technologists, innovators, problem solvers, great minds in our field. Nobody's going to argue that technology hasn't had tremendous impact on how we perform clinical trials. EDC, eCOA, ePro, IVRS, or IXRS, maybe I'm dating myself by still calling it IVRS. eConsent, they all have a great place in the clinical trial stack, but unfortunately they oftentimes leave us with a sort of untenable patchwork of disconnected portals, forgotten passwords, URLs that just don't make sense. It makes lives very hard for life at the site. So, I'll let tech nerds out there, talk about why things are this way, debate the finer points between, best in breed systems versus portals and whether the solutions are APIs or interoperability or consolidation. But frankly, at the site level, we don't really care. We don't really care what's happening on the back end because frankly, at the end of the day, a successful clinical trial boils down to enrolling patients and retaining them at the site level. And the best way to do that is to empower sites to create an environment that clinical trial participants actually want to be a part of, right? So before I delve down into too many of the challenges, I guess I could say a few positive things. So as much as it pains me to do so. I'm focusing a lot on ePro and sort of the shift to devices just because they're becoming increasingly ubiquitous and also increasingly challenging for sites to manage, especially as sites scale and sort of become more decentralized. But anyone who's used paper diaries, will attest that ePro is a huge advantage. No longer do we have patients sort of hurriedly filling out their e-diaries in a car before their visit. We don't have margins filled with notes that oftentimes lead us down AE investigations that go nowhere. We're obviously able to collect a lot of data outside a clinic and save patients time and travel. So overall, it's pretty easy to see that ePro is a net positive, but why are they still so challenging for sites to manage? The first thing you have to consider is that sites don't have any choice in what types of technology is handed down to them. We have no say, and it's your money. That's cool. We'll deal with it the best we can. But imagine the scenario: you receive a box that you didn't know was coming. You pop it open and you find, if you're lucky, you might find 3 to 5. If you're unlucky, maybe you'll find 12 to 15 devices. They're often unlabeled. It's hard to tell what study they're even for. It's a mishmash sometimes of, 12-year-old Android devices and maybe sometimes newer iPhones and sort of everything in between. You pop these bad boys open and, some of them still have sticker residue from other sites labeling them. A lot of them cling to old stained cases. Some of them have frayed wires. Some of them don't even have a brick to charge the thing with. So, okay, nonetheless, we pop them out of the box and we try to find somewhere to charge all this stuff. Now, somewhere along the way, maybe long before or long after these devices come in, we'll receive a training link, right? So, usually that consists of how to provision a device and how to navigate a portal. One thing we almost never really get to see or learn is what are patients seeing when they're filling out their EU diaries? When are they seeing it, and how are they seeing it? And if you've had to take a phone call at 11:30 at night from a panicky clinical trial participant who can't complete their e-diaries, you can imagine why this is a big problem. And I will say I've had that happen more times than I care to recount throughout my career. So, on top of that, we have to take our poor training and then train the subjects on how to use these devices. So we're already kind of starting out from a bad point. Oftentimes, sometimes the device itself will have a training module for the patient. Sometimes we're sort of left to just walk them through it based off of what we know best. In very rare instances, they get to take home some sort of package insert or instructions. But really, once the patient leaves the site, all bets are off, right? After that, your site staff oftentimes is spending a great deal of time tracking whether or not these things are being completed. So imagine, if you will, having dozens of studies with dozens of e-diaries, having to go check portals on a daily basis to ensure that patients are completing their e-diaries. It can become a nightmare, especially when some of these portals are very challenging to sort of get around in the first place. Then you add to that, we have a lot of patients in rural areas. Their phones aren't connected or won't connect to the networks that these things are set up for. Maybe they don't have Wi-Fi at home. Oftentimes we are found asking patients to drive into town. I've had patients go set up Wi-Fi at their local McDonald's so that they can transmit their diary data, which seems completely insane. Again, just sort of adding a little bit more burden to the patient experience there. So listen, I wish that I had a long list of solutions for you, but the truth is, I really don't. This is sort of a burden that sites have to bear, but it's not really a problem that sites can solve on their own. At the end of the day, all we really want is a seamless and easy experience for our patients. Dear tech vendors, you guys are not Steve Jobs. We don't need more Steve Jobs. We need a seamless experience that helps us stay connected to our research patients. At the end of the day, when these things are glitching or having problems, who do you reckon the patients are calling? They're calling the research coordinators. And unfortunately, we're not well equipped to help our patients in the first place. Oftentimes, we're left to send them to a help desk, which, again, isn't the end of the world, but every little extra step and every little burden and every little brick we place between us and our patient just disengages them a little bit more. And, I love what I do. I'm extremely passionate. I've worked at the site level my whole career, 15 years, and I probably will forever. So I love it, but at the same time, I've never worked in an industry that's left me so heartbroken because, we're dealing with patients with chronic pain. We deal with patients who are having mental health problems. At the very least, we're dealing with patients who are negatively affected by whatever disease state they have, and at the very worst, we're sometimes dealing with patients who are literally dying. And to have to look a patient in the eye and tell them, unfortunately, there's no hope for you to make this clinical trial because some sort of technology glitch or poorly designed or implemented technology is truly a travesty. So really, I just want to end with one ask as this slowly starts to tip over on me, is that as we continue to build technology, we start to focus on starting to build bridges and stopping building walls. Thanks, guys.